Hello, hello, LinkedIn. Ooh, a little echo. Sometimes that happens. LinkedIn and my Facebook group. In case you don't know me, I'm Beth Granger. I'm a trainer, consultant, and speaker on the topic of growing your business and professional brand using LinkedIn. I am also a facilitator of a very special business development community. So, welcome. Before I introduce you to my amazing guest today, I'm just looking to see there's a little magic I have to do behind the scenes to make that link work. And I'm doing that right now. I keep thinking there should be an easier way to do it, but I haven't found one yet. So here we go. The magic is happening. And now my attention is completely with you. My guest today is David Leta. And we met, speaking of networking, we met because someone in my networking group introduced us, and that's how it happens. David is a word of mouth marketing expert. He coaches and crafts strategies for professionals and consultants on the art of building relationships, trust, and most importantly, triggering conversations that influence specific markets. And yes, I'm reading this because his description of that is so much better than mine. If you are dependent on referrals and word of mouth for business, you are in the right place today. And what's interesting is people who I work with, both from the LinkedIn side and the networking side, are the exact same kind of people that you help. So it's really fascinating. And we already have a comment. So somebody is here with us. Noel, thank you for joining us on this rainy day. Noel happens to live nearby in my town. So hello, Noel. David, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Beth. It's so nice to talk to you. I love our chats. I love our chats. You are such a generous person to all of us, and we so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, David and I have been enjoying getting to know each other and introducing each other to people we think the other person should know. So to get started, I think some people have never heard the term word of mouth marketing. And so how do you define that so people understand?
Well, as you can imagine, my marketing colleagues have a lot of different definitions for it. And so basically, what I look at word of mouth is it's a vehicle that can get you in front of the particular audience that you've been striving to get in front of without looking salesy. And at the same token, building you up as an expert and trust and starting that relationship.
I love it. I love it. And that's, you know, I think, and tell me if you agree with this, that people are building up that word of mouth, whether they are strategic about it or not. It happens no matter what, just because of all your interactions, right?
You hit the nail on the head, I tell you. So you're right. In business, it needs to be strategic because the word of mouth can go foul very badly, and it can go the other way too. But sometimes it's just mundane. It's not anything in particular. When somebody is with a group of people and they say, "Hey, you got to hear about this," that's where you want to be. Not, "Oh yeah, I know somebody." Yeah. So it's important that you have that word of mouth, you have those influencers, if you want to call them advocates, those friends who can help you get out there. At the same time, it's reciprocal, right? You want to help those that you care about and those that you want to help their businesses flourish.
And do you think the strategies that, actually, before I ask you that, can you give us an example? Tell us a story about somebody you worked with and what you had them do to develop this word of mouth program?
So what you try to do is, first of all, you got to know who your audience is. And that can be a little difficult, right? Everybody tells you know your audience, but with a little investigation, you can do it by asking some current clients that you have some questions and trying to hone in exactly who you want to be in front of is really the first thing. Then you may want to figure out the people that you want to go ahead and speak for you. So having set that up, and there's more to set up with that, influencing other people. can come in a variety of ways. So the story I'm going to share with you is one way. It doesn't have to happen another way. This was a direct strategy, and it's actually called it's called a metaphor gift. And what it is you want to start your own talk. And if there's a particular person who will not give you the time of day and you absolutely know that you can help them, what you want to do is you want to send them a gift, right? Doesn't have to be expensive. That's a metaphor for what you do. And in it, you would have a note saying, this gift is compliments from me. These are the things that I do. And I would love to have 10 minutes of your time, that typical thing. But here's what the job is. It's not really to get the appointment. It's really to distinguish you from everybody else out there. So the story is like this. There was a CPA, and he was saying to me, Dave, I really, really need to get in front of these auto dealerships, these owners, that type of thing. And I said, well, talk to me a little about it. And he did. And after an hour and a half, we found out he was using the vernacular, how he can get people out of tough terrain, and that there's some really mountains that are challenging that these businesses have. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, why don't we get them a remote control car, or truck, I should say, the big wheel trucks that they have? And I said, I'll letter the sides of it with their favorite number, their name, this and that. And we'll use the vernacular and the story that you told so that when they get it, they go, what the heck is this? And the content part of it simply says, listen, I can get you through the tough terrain, through those different mountains, all those types of things. So that becomes a word of mouth situation. That's only one type, that allows you to get in there and distinguish yourself from the rest. Now, after that, it's all about follow-up, right? It's staying in front of people all the time.
And what do you advise people do to stay in front of people without being salesy or pushy? Is it just that you have to have the patience and not push for the conversation unless the other person's ready? Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So I always tell my clients, I say, listen, I can help you with being creative and getting out there, but I can't help you with being patient and having perseverance. We have to have faith and perseverance. So if you know that and you set it to the side while you're doing other things, it makes it so much easier to move forward. So patience and perseverance is very important. So am I answering that question? I'm trying to get exactly what you were saying.
I think you did. Yeah.
Okay.
Now or on replay, feel free to put in questions, share this broadcast with others so they can join the conversation too. I think when we were talking another day, I'm trying to remember, you just sparked some idea in my head and I lost it. It's the rain, folks. It's a rainy day today. So do you think that word of mouth marketing can change somebody's mind or help them make a decision?
Yes. And we've all seen it in our life. If it's coming from an influencer we trust, absolutely, it can change their mind. It also saves research time, doesn't it? You hear about something and they tell you about it. And I'll give you a story that might give you a good example of this. So my wife, Karen, we were talking one day and she says, you know what? We need a new mattress. And I said, a new mattress? She says, yeah, it's 15 years old. It's bumpy and we need a new mattress. And, being the husband, I said, no, we can get another 15 year out of it. She said, no, we're getting a new mattress. So Sunday comes and she's looking at all these specials and there is Sleepy's. Sleepy's has these specials going on. And it looks like they have the mattress that she wants. It's about $1,800, right? It's a lot of money. And I said, all right, we'll go out and get the mattress. This is what we'll do, right? So it's Sunday morning and she gets a call from her friend, Michelle. And Michelle says, oh, Karen, what are you doing today? And she says, well, we're going to go buy a mattress. And Michelle says, oh my gosh, I just got my mattress from JCPenney. And not only were the people great, they did free delivery, blah, 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 blah. Where did we get our mattress? JCPenney.
Yep.
Sleepy's has spent tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get in front of my wife. They did everything right. But at the last minute, a trusted source comes and says, Oh no, you should do this. Wow. That is an example of how it happens. Now, and the interesting thing you should know, it all starts with a conversation, right? It's always about the conversation. So word of mouth, if you can keep in your head, it's about the conversation. And there's three ways the conversation can happen. The first, the situation presents itself and somebody says, wow, you have to meet my friend Beth because blah, 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 because the situation opened up. They're having difficulty networking on LinkedIn. They don't understand it. Right. The number two way is you or the influencer recognize a need. You recognize, and that's what Michelle did. She recognized the need. My wife needed to do it. Oh, by the way, we paid over $2,000 for that mattress. We over, so here's the thing. What happened? So the second part, like I indicated, is about you or the influencer recognizing it and starting the conversation. Right. So the influencer may be talking to somebody like Michelle, and she recognized there was a need and she came in. The last is actually you or your influencer directly starts the conversation. That can be done through humor. That can be done through emotion, and then emotions are a big part of word of mouth. That can be done a variety of ways because they're looking at you as the trusted source. And they're looking for the story or the conversation. And you'll hear a lot about stories. We want to have stories. So if you're not a good storyteller, start learning how to become a good storyteller, because we learn by parable and we retain it. And the nice thing about it, it takes a piece of real estate in your head. Even though you're not thinking about it, it's still there. So can I give another example of that?
Please. And before you do, actually, I just want to say, Noel says that word of mouth, in his experience, is the best way to grow most businesses, and absolutely his, which has to do with financial planning. So yes, tell us another story.
No, you're exactly right on that. And first of all, it's cost effective too, but it makes such a difference. And being that we're in this world now, social media, those are ways, but they're not as powerful in my mind as the conversation, having the conversation. We've seen it. So I wanted to give you an example of something. One of the things that I do is to help friends, and I've done it for you, Beth, too. You know that I've done this, is that every person I meet in this world, every day, I ask them 5 questions. And those 5 questions represent the people who are sending business to me, because I want to get them business too. So one of the questions was for a woman, on behalf of a woman, and her name happened to be Karen, also like my wife. And I was talking to this person and I said, listen, at the end of this conversation, I'm going to have 5 questions for you, and it's going to be binary. It's yes or no. That's all I want to know. Yes or no. And it is helping those partners, those people that I care about, and I trust what they do. So now remember, I'm becoming the word of mouth. So this was the question. I said, do you know anybody who has a dog who has anxiety? That's yes or no, right?
I didn't know dogs could have anxiety. I
Oh
know
my
sometimes
gosh.
they get afraid during thunderstorms or fireworks and things, but
My big shepherd used to be so afraid and would jump into the closet. So a lot of anxiety, the poor babies. So the woman I was talking to was a stylist, and she said, Dave, no, she says, I don't know anybody, but what I did is I added on to it after she said no. I said, well, what Karen does is she works with the CBD oils, and she works exclusively with pets, blah, 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 went on. And I just wanted to let her know. I put it out there and did it. Well, a week later, in a woman's group that she was in, somebody mentioned how their dog had anxiety, had this and that. And this woman said, well, wait a minute. Dave knows somebody. Now, not only that, the 4 women knew who I was, Dave. So they said, Dave, we know Dave Leta, So now it added even more to it. And I got the call back from her, and she says, please give me that information because I have found somebody. Now, remember, that took some real estate in her mind that she didn't have to remember. She recalled it because it was an interesting question. So if I have anything to say to this audience, is that when you go ahead and you start the conversation, it has to be interesting. And there's 3 things. It has to be unexpected, right? It has to be memorable and shareable. And that's what that was. It was all 3. So now my friend Karen, I got her some business.
That's
All
wonderful.
because I asked the question, and all because of word of mouth.
That's great. And we have some Um, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but Bequer says old school still works perfectly. And Joel says, as a photographer, the best validation of my service is from someone who has been in front of a camera. Yes. And I think people always want to help people. So if they have a resource or aware of a resource and somebody they know needs that resource, it's the exact example you gave with both the dog and the mattress. So
So
it's
yeah, but
powerful.
you make a good point. But Joel, what I'm here's what happens is sometimes we can wait forever, right? You've given excellent service, right? Because that's part of word of mouth marketing is giving excellent, but you could wait forever to happen. So somehow got to create something that's unique, something that can start a conversation that when they're in front of other people, it comes out. Now, whatever it might be, just takes some creative thinking. It takes a little time to think it through and do it. It might be some sort of incentive to help them. It might be something that's brings emotion. There might be something that's funny or humorous. So a lot of times, as you know, you could do the very best and you don't hear anything back. So that's why word of mouth marketing is a strategy. And we're in business and we need to do strategies. Hey, listen, when I was in high school and I was looking for a girlfriend, I strategized. Didn't do well until I met my wife. So that's part of it is strategizing. And you have to do this so that you make it a part of what you're doing every day that you're thinking. But it's a lot of fun too at the
So
same time.
how can people implement, or where do they begin if it's not something they've ever really done before? What questions can they ask themselves or their clients, or where should they begin?
So let's start with what your goal is, right? You either want to get in front of people or you want to start that process that they're talking you up. And one of the ways to do it is to do speaking engagements. There's no doubt with Zoom now and, go to meeting and all this. It is a great opportunity to not only to elevate you as an expert, but to be the talk. Okay. So I have a client who is a conscious uncoupling coach. If you remember, Gwyneth Paltrow made that famous. It
Yep.
wasn't her, but it was. And this particular gentleman, just so you understand what it does, is it works with couples that are thinking about divorce or divorcing. But it's not about the divorce. It is about the communication between them because they might have children. And after the divorce, they want to be able to talk to their ex in a civil manner and get things done and have the same types of goal. Anyway, that's his expertise. But the people that initiate it are mostly women. So we know that that's our market. So it's important that his actual subject, the conversation that he starts, is relative to these particular women or these women's groups that he goes into, because he understands what their most worrisome problem is. And then if he hits the mark right, he can now be the talk, because everybody, even myself, knows somebody who's going through a difficult time, divorce, maybe not communicating well, those type of things. So to start, know your audience, and what you want to do is strategize. You want to plan this out so that this way you're in front of people or creating those conversations. So you might know somebody who loves to chat, right? Is the first one to tell you about everything. Well, that influencer might be very good for you. And maybe it's time you find that influencer some business. Let them know that you care about them and let them know that you want to make their business grow. And then all of a sudden, they're going to be talking about you all the time. So
Yeah.
you will have to follow up. You will have to know that word of mouth marketing is a task that's done online and offline. So you want to fuse some of that together. You don't always have to, right? But sometimes where we are now, if you're, for instance, if you like Noel, if you're, you might have some compliance issues, right? On social media, but you certainly can create conversations, or Joel, you're a photographer, you probably don't have compliance issues, which means that you can do anything, not anything, but
Anything that's ethical and legal.
ethical, right, online and offline. So the strategy to start, know your audience. The second is to strategize and have some fun with it.
I think that's a great insight. I know that in groups of people who realize they can help other people. It's a simple thing, even as there are these Facebook groups, for instance, for towns, each town, town of whatever.
Right.
And people ask for things all the time. Hey, who knows? Right.
Right.
And being able to refer the people that you know, like, and trust is a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
And that can be a way of starting the conversation, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so if people have thought about being strategic about this a little bit, how can they get their referral partners to talk them up so they can do something like you do, where they add questions to their conversations to see if somebody might be
Right.
worth introducing? Any other ideas of ways people can make that happen?
So the most direct way is to obviously to align with your referral partners, and you be accountable and they be accountable to each other. That's one way. The other way is that if you can incentivize. You can say, in some manner, it doesn't have to be monetary. You can be the one that sends something. And I'll give you an example. There was an attorney who I've done business with, and she is definitely an influencer. And recently, unfortunately, she lost her mom, and I felt awful about it. And so on the side, my hobby is I'm an artist. So what I did is I created a gold pendant with the engraved picture of her mother, and I sent it to her, and I created a frameable memorial to your mom. Being my background is in also graphics and art and things like that, and it was not meant for anything other than to tell her that I cared about it. Well, she got back to me and she said, "Dave, this was fantastic. What a wonderful piece of art. I'm going to keep it forever." And that was great. That's all. I just wanted to let her know I was thinking about her. Well, what did she do at her BNI? Oh my God. She started talking about it like crazy. Now, this has nothing to do with what I do, right?
Yep.
I'm a marketing guy, but she started the conversation. It was an emotional thing. It was genuine and authentic from me. It wasn't meant to do anything else. And if you are genuine and authentic and you care about people, the conversation will continue. It's almost like what you do is secondary to who you are as a person, So that is one of the ways that you can get in front.
I think that's so true. And, I discovered that in the business development networking community that I'm part of and now facilitating a council for. Sometimes little things that you don't even think about, like somebody needs a bit of advice, or their child's trying to get an internship and you make an introduction. It's just things that, when they're good people and really want to help other people, they do without thinking about it, that then leads other people to talk about them. And we have somebody who, I can't see who it is because of your settings on LinkedIn, but who said, who do you trust more? Genuine sincerity. Absolutely. And Jeff Goldberg, thank you for joining us. He says it's often the little things like a handwritten thank you note. And Jeff, I don't know if you have ever met David, but David meet Jeff, Jeff meet David.
Hi, Jeff.
Jeff is an amazing sales trainer and sales manager. So, wow, word of marketing. What, I can't believe it's almost a half hour. This is how these conversations go. You and I, as we know, we could keep talking forever, but
we do.
What haven't I asked you, or what hasn't somebody that's joined us asked that you think they should really know about this whole thing and what they can be doing?
I can't think of anything at the top of my head, but what I'll do is I'll say, yes, Jeff is right. That handwritten note. Well, let me give you another story real quick. Okay. I
don't have to turn it off exactly as to how
it works. I got this lead from I got this call actually from another CPA, and he said, "Dave, I was talking to Franny, and Franny said to me that I should give you a call, and that you can help me out, da da da." Well, it turns out, so you know who Franny is. She is a PR specialist. And she had this conversation and with this CPA, and he was so frustrated with his social media team, his marketing people, his advertising agency, and he wanted somebody who was going to see the whole picture, and that's where I sit, And so he brought me in, the word of mouth that she had given, and he hired me. That was fantastic. But the story doesn't end there. What happened was, Franny had went out of her way to talk about me. She made me the conversation. So there was a networking event that I know that she always attends. And what I wanted to do was give her a public acknowledgement. I wanted everybody to know what a great person that she was. So what I did is I came to the event, paid my $15, did that type of thing, but I had a wrap gift. And when it came time for my 30-second pitch, I said, I'm not going to talk about myself. I'm going to talk about that wonderful woman at the end of the table. And I handed the gift to the person on the side of me. I said, this woman is unbelievable generous in what she did. Now, she's smiling now, right? The serotonin in her head, the happy chemical is going off like crazy. I'm feeling great because I'm doing a good thing. Serotonin's going off in my head. But the science has shown there's a third person that is also seeing this, is feeling the same way, and that's the audience. So now everybody has serotonin going off their head, feeling good, right? And I asked the person next to me, I said, would you pass that down? Now, it was strategic so that everybody touched the gift on the way down to her, right?
Yeah. Pre-COVID, folks.
Right. That was absolutely right. So here's what we got. We got now Franny's part of the conversation, and now I am, right? Yep. We created the conversation. What has happened, So this is one of the things that you can do.
I love it. So many amazing tips, and we have a couple comments. And Doris loved what you said about what you do is secondary to who you are as a person, and that's so true.
Right, Doris, you're right.
So true. So, and thank you for joining us, Doris. I miss seeing you in person. This has been so wonderful, and I know you mentioned that you have a little something, a gift, if you will, for everybody who's joined us or who's watching afterwards that they can get. Tell me what that is.
So let's make life easy for all of you and anybody that you know. What I have is just a checklist, right, to help you start creating conversations. And it's free. It's just a downloadable PDF. But what it does is it keeps you on target. Now, I know you have a lot of things on your desk, but at the very least, you can look at this and say, have I done this? Again, I'll go back to what Joel says, a handwritten note. Sometimes we have to be reminded, right? Sometimes something is happening that we have to move forward with. So if you just want the checklist, that's no problem. I hand it out to everybody. It's just a nice reminder.
And how do they get that?
You're going to have to email me. Okay. So it's just so everybody has it. Here we go. David at, now there's 3 words coming up, thebusinessimage.com. So it's David at thebusinessimage.com.
Put it in the post what I do. The text that goes along with this live broadcast, I edit it after the fact to add some information, tag you and things like that. I can put that in there as well.
Awesome.
So wonderful. This has been great having this conversation with you. I look forward to our continued conversations. And everybody who joined us live, thank you for commenting and engaging. And if you're watching on replay, feel free to ask questions or comment as well. This has been so much fun. And one final question, because I asked this at my networking group this morning. What is your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, it's Mounds. Yeah.
How
about you? What's yours?
So believe it or not, mine is one that's hard to get up here in New York. Clark Bar.
Clark Bar.
Remember Clark Bars?
Yes.
They don't have them in New York. I would say Almond Joy is probably my second.
Well, I'm on the Jersey Shore, and I'm going to look for a Clark Bar for you. So, listen, thank you for having me, and what a wonderful group of listeners you have here.
Yeah, we had some wonderful people join us. So everyone, I want you to have a fabulous rest of the day and weekend, and catch you on my next live. Bye-bye, everybody.